In the world of Pokemon, not everyone's goal is to become a Pokemon League champion. Some of us prefer the bright lights of the stage, the sparkles and shimmers through the air while we twirl in our glamorous costumes. I'm of course talking about Pokemon Contests. Pokemon Contests were introduced in Generation 3 and continued through Generation 4, where I would say they were at their peak. Then Generation 5 introduced musicals, which was like contests in a different font, and things were never the same after that. After this, contests had just faded from our minds until their eventual return in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where we got a cute new contest star character in Lycia and a bunch of cosplay Pikachu. Also, did you know that Wallace was Lycia's uncle, or gunkle, more like, let's be real? I had no idea about this until recently. Anyways, contests were huge when they were around, not just in the world of the video games, but especially in the world of the anime. Ash had 2 whole companions in May and Dawn whose journeys was all about them becoming a top contest coordinator. This didn't include Serena, who partook in what's called Pokemon showcases. Yeah, I don't know why we couldn't have just brought back contests. Y'all hated it so much, but continued to use similar premises, just with different shades. This is the same picture. I digress. Contests in the anime were awesome. When I was a kid, seeing these beautiful combined moves and spectacles all leading to a final battle where you don't just want to win, but also showcase your Pokemon in an appealing way, looked like such a great time, and I could see why people would want to pursue this. So how come something so awesome in the anime didn't really translate into a love for it in the game? Do we think that contests are gone forever and we'll never see them again? Forever lost in the ether of forgotten Pokemon ideas like Pokestar Studios and whatever the heck this was. Cause in my opinion, Pokemon contests are one of the biggest missed opportunities of the entire series. Let's talk about it. Now, of course, I could start off by talking about Pokemon contests in the anime, which is actually where a bulk of the conversation I want to have lies, so I'm gonna save that for a little bit for later. So first, let's talk about where contests started within the games in Generation 3. Pokemon contests were introduced here in the Hoenn region just as a separate activity to do just for fun alongside the gym challenge. It's presented to us as something that we do more on the side of things while we're completing our main goal of becoming Pokemon League champion. In the Hoenn region, here's how contests work. Contests are separated into 2 different rounds where you'll receive points and judging, where in the end, the person with the most points from scoring will win the contest. The first round, the introduction round, consists of judging based on your Pokemon's condition and how much they meet the requirements for whatever contest it is you're doing. This can consist of 5 categories that you'll be competing in, which is coolness, beauty, cuteness, cleverness, or toughness. And this round is mainly where the purpose of the Pokeblocks comes into play. Now, making Pokeblocks is not just for making cute snacks that taste good for your Pokemon. They actually do something for your stats and help you win contests. They do this by increasing your stats and making your Pokemon a lot more of each category that you might be competing in. I will even admit, as a kid, I definitely did not do this as much as I probably should have, and I didn't really learn the recipes. There's a bunch of different recipes for different berries and different Pokeblocks that you can make. The process of making Pokeblocks though was super fun. Definitely loved that. 10 out of 10. I felt like I was in Cooking Mama. Once you've made it past the introduction round is when you get to the meat and potatoes of Pokemon contests, which is the appeal round. This is when you're going to be using your certain moves that may match the category of whatever contest you're competing in to try to appeal to the judges to get the most points you possibly can. Every move has a different point value, and some even have added little extra things of maybe you can't use it twice in a row, or maybe it'll make your competitors nervous to appeal. So there's definitely a little strategy involved, and it's not just clicking the same move over and over again, which actually in some cases could be considered a bad thing that the judges may not like. Your total combined points from the introduction round and the appeal round are what make a winner, and you want to get as many points as you possibly can in both rounds to have the best chance. In Gen 3, there are 4 ranks of contests that you can compete in, going from normal, super, hyper, and master, with master of course being the hardest. Of course, in the later Generation 3 remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, there were some extra changes made to the contest, including where you could use your own Mega Pokemon. There also was the introduction of cosplay Pikachu, which is something that I never thought that I was going to see, but I also didn't know I needed. These Pikachu are freaking adorable, and I love each and every one of them. Before we move on to Generation 4, where we change contests just a little bit, this is the basic format of contest where we originated, and I think that they had all the building blocks to succeed here, and if they wanted to expand upon it, which they did in the later generation, that it would only be a benefit to it. And I think that it was still fun, but we definitely had room for improvement. And I believe that a lot of that improvement came with the Pokemon Super Contest. In Generation 4, contests were a little bit different in that instead of 2 rounds, there were 3 rounds consisting of visual, dance, and an acting portion. The visual competition was basically your condition introduction one, where in this case, you could not only have Poffins that would increase your stats just like Pokeblocks, but also you could dress up your Pokemon in different costumes and outfits, and I think this was a very welcome change, especially because it's something that they did in the anime. In the completely new portion of the dance competition, this is where you are essentially doing a rhythm game and you're having your Pokemon dance along to a song, and you have to click the buttons down below to match the rhythm of the song and score points depending on how well timed you are. This is easily one of my favorite things that they did to revamp Pokemon Contests, and it later came to return in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl in a little bit of a different format because it just seems so perfect for contests. Why should our Pokemon not be having a dance battle on the stage right now for points? That seems like a perfect thing for them to be doing, so I really enjoyed it, and I think that the format of a rhythm game really is fitting for the style of Pokemon Contests. In the final acting round, which is essentially just our appeal round, it's a lot of the same stuff from Generation 3, except this time we have, of course, different moves to use, and now instead of just one judge that we're appealing to, we have 3 different judges that you can appeal to. This, of course, adds yet another strategy element to the contest aside from just the moves that you're using, in that you may not want to appeal to the same judge every single round, or you might want to be careful that you're all not appealing to the same judge at the same time. Gen 4 contests, just like Gen 3 contests, also had 4 rankings that you could compete in, with that being Normal, Great, Ultra, and Master, with these being named after the different types of Pokeballs. Gen 4 is also where we saw the introduction of something that is now what I consider to be a staple of Pokemon contests, which is utilizing ball capsules and stickers which you put on each of your Pokemon's Pokeballs, and it just gives them a flashy and cool and exciting entrance to the battlefield. So another generation goes by where we just add on and add improvements to Pokemon contests, and I loved seeing this as a kid because I thought that we were going to be getting improvement after improvement, generation after generation for contests, and that every single generation we were going to be getting a new thing, something to make them better, something to make them more, something to make them more fun. But then Generation 5 came and we were done? It's over? Pokemon musicals? What is this? I may have gone to school for musical theater, but this is ridiculous. Like, of course I want to weaponize my BFA, but can I do that in a Pokemon contest? Why I gotta do it in a Pokemon musical? What even is this? Needless to say, I was very disappointed to see that Pokemon contests were kind of on the outs at this point, and we never truly saw contests make a return in the format that we had been used to in Gen 3 and 4. Now, I don't think that this was fully because the creators of the game thought that contests were trash or players hated it. I just think that they wanted something new. They wanted to spice it up. They wanted to do something different, and I guess that they saw that they'd kind of reached where they wanted to go with Pokemon contests, and they didn't see themselves going any further with it, which I think is a big letdown and the entire reason I'm even making this video right now. And the reason that I see so much potential for Pokemon contests, aside from the fact that me as a little kid had fun playing them in the games, was of course the anime. Yes, we're finally talking about it. Yes, we're gonna get into it. Contests in the anime look so freaking fun, and this is where I get the idea that contests could really be made for more, and could honestly, maybe I sound crazy, but I think that they could get their own spin-off game. In the anime, we see in Generations 3 and 4 with 2 companions of Ash with May and Dawn, who are both contest coordinators who are striving to go to the Grand Festival. Contests in the anime are presented to us more along the lines of a gym Pokemon League challenge than ever in the games. How it works in the anime is that you have to win 5 ribbons competing in 5 different contests in 5 different towns, and once you do, you earn invitation to the Grand Festival, which essentially is the Pokemon League for contest coordinators, where you're all competing to be the best and win the Grand Festival to get the trophy, the crown, the ribbons, the fame, the glory. Something that's also interesting is you just need 5 ribbons for entry, period. Like, they don't have to come from the same year, the same time competing. You don't need to win them back to back. Like, you could get 5 ribbons over the span of 10 years, and as long as you have 5 ribbons, you can enter. And that's kind of wild, and I think that that could definitely lead to some interesting storylines for a lot of characters. In these contests in the anime, we see a lot of costumes for the Pokemon, for the trainers. We see a lot of beautiful displays of moves and battling. How it works in the anime is there are 2 rounds, kind of like in Generation 3, except this is a performance round leading into a battle stage. A performance round where you showcase a beautiful set of moves, and if you get enough points, you move on to a bracketed battle tournament style where you battle other trainers with a 5-minute time limit, and within those 5 minutes you lose if your Pokemon faints or if the other person whittles all your points down to 0. How you lessen points for your opponent in these battles is by creating beautiful displays of moves like you did in the first round through battle, creating great combinations between your Pokemon, because a lot of these battles are actually double battles, which, given that contest originated in Generation 3 where double battles originated, I'm not surprised. It also gives you a lot more opportunity to do things when you're combining 2 moves from 2 different Pokemon. You can also lessen points from your opponent by taking a move that they try to use and either working it in your favor or preventing them from doing it at all. Now again, call me crazy, but I thought that these contest episodes were just as exciting, if not sometimes more exciting and thrilling to watch, than some of the gym challenge episodes in the anime. Like, I loved seeing the cool, intricate ways of having some of these moves and Pokemon work together to create these beautiful displays. There was so many rainbows, so many swirling things, so many glowing things, so many cool things to look at that I didn't even know was possible. Contests in the anime are really presented like this is a complete separate journey and thing that you could want to pursue in your life as a person in the Pokemon world that is just as valid as wanting to be a Pokemon champion. I mean, this would take just as much practice and love and training with your Pokemon as a battle challenge would. So I personally would love to see Pokemon Contests get their own game. I know that this would be a stretch, just like in the last video where I talked about there being a Pokemon Legends for Ultra Beasts. It would be something a little out there, and I know there's certain people out there that would absolutely love this idea, but I'm not sure if it would appeal to everybody. Appeal, you see what I did there? Picture this. It's a game with a storyline that opens up where maybe your sibling or parent that you start off with in your starting town is a Pokemon champion or someone of great noticeable worth in the battle scene of Pokemon. But as the main playable character, this isn't necessarily your dream or path that you want to go down. You want to be a Pokemon contest coordinator. I see you going on a journey through the different towns in whatever region this would take place in, competing at different Pokemon contests, trying to win your 5 different ribbons to compete at the Grand Festival. And as a game just in general, there wouldn't even need to be a massive commitment to making a super long journey or super long game, because you're trying to win 5 ribbons instead of 8 badges, so the journey just wouldn't be as long. But I still think there's a lot of potential in a storyline with characters that want to be contest stars instead of Pokemon champions. I envision some of the most exciting elements of the game to be, of course, the contests themselves, and I think the ideal format that I would like to see is something very similar to the Super Contest for Generation 4, just in a very larger, upgraded scale. In the visual portion, you can still have Pokeblocks and Poffins, maybe even a new snack that you can make for your Pokemon to up their stats, as well as just adding more fun costumes and things for our Pokemon to wear. I just picture this being like Barbie's dream closet, like you just have a massive choosing screen where you can pick a random assortment of things that your Pokemon can wear, and I see it being really grand and fun to go through everything. In the second round, I would of course love to see the dance section remain a thing in these games. I would love to see a massive stage with a personalized set for each Pokemon to do based on their move sets or just the Pokemon themselves, playing a rhythm game and trying to score the best score that you can. I picture this happening in a open arena type of thing, kind of like Pokken Tournament, or in Poke Park whenever you're in a battle and you just have a little bit of an open space where you can move around freely. I think something like that would be the ideal format for something like this. And then if you score enough points in the first 2 rounds, you make it on to the battle tournament in round 3. Now round 3, I want to be just like the anime, and I think this is where they'd want most of the effort to be put into these games if they were to be made. It's very similar to the battle style that we're going to be seeing in Pokemon Legends ZA, with a kind of like moving around, adjusting yourself to the attacks, trying to move out of the way of them, dodging them real time. I could definitely see something like this, except of course adding the fact that you want to create beautiful displays of moves while you're battling. It would take a lot of work to put this together, and there'd be a lot of personalized stuff depending on whatever Pokemon you're using, and a lot of special touches needed, but I think if they were willing to do it, it could be something that is really great, and something out there for players that are missing Pokemon contests, or if you're not even a big fan of Pokemon contests and just want to try something new in a Pokemon game that may not be just centered around battling. Is this entire video just me being a Pokemon-obsessed homosexual who just wants to be under the spotlights on a stage? Yeah, sure. But I love Pokemon contests, as I assume there are some other Pokemon fans out there who do as well, and would have loved to have seen them make a return either in the games or the anime again, or just in any way, shape, or form, because I know that I sure do. Let me know down in the comment section below if you think any of my ideas for a Pokemon contest-centered spin-off game are plausible. Do you think it could work? Do you have any ideas of what you would like to see in a Pokemon contest-centered game? Definitely let me know. Y'all know that I love to hear from you. But Pokemon Company International, you listen and you listen to me good. If there is one thing that I want out of this Pokemon game, if it were to happen, it's not the rhythm games, it's not the battle portions, it's not even the greatly styled costumes. We need to see Harley make a return. You know I'm right.
Harley?
May, my little gingerbread cookie, how are you, hon?
This diva has been out of our sights for way too long.